afternoon, good morning, and whatnot. Hi, this is Trisha here. Let's talk mental health. Let's talk mental health. What we thought this podcast series as our pilot project, you know what? We are on our fifth episode. So, definitely something great vibes we can feel. And this is our fifth episode. And today there's a big question. What's my self worth? What's my self worth? I'll be joined by my very good friend, a life coach, certified life coach, and a lot of things. Let us all welcome Anu Vittal to the studio. Hi, Anu. Anu
Hi,
is here.
Trisha. Nice to see you.
Very nice to see you. It's always nice to see you, Anu. I have to mention this that although, yes, this is our fifth episode, and I'm so thankful to you for sharing your thoughtful responses to the questions that we have been receiving. We have been actually continuing impact of mental health on our relationship and that also affects how we are dealing with our everyday situation. And especially today, as we try to cover a bit on self worth, the self doubt, whether I want to value myself on my own or I want to depend on someone else's measure, like a measure of my self worth by someone else's opinion. So that is a question I have received many um, questions, concerns about this topic. So we decided, Anu and I, we decided to continue with this. Anu, what about you? How is it going for you so far?
Well, it's a beautiful sunny day. I have nothing to complain. And talking about self worth, it's really how people see themselves. And on the outside, they have so much. They have a beautiful house, car. They might even look like they have a loving relationship. But inside, they are not happy because they are measuring themselves against a scale and sometimes rather harshly on what they may have, failed at in life, or of because of a state of being, whether it's an external state of having gained weight, or even a tiny little pimple. Sometimes for someone who is famous could be a slight dip in self-worth because they're not feeling perfect. But really the way to get to a point where you really understand that none of it really matters, and what really matters is how you are with other people, how you can establish a continued joyful existence as part of a bigger whole, and that you matter, and you're not just a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in a drop, will make you understand that it's important for you also to feel a certain way and to have radical acceptance of those situations that you may not be able to change right away. Because there's only three things that you can do in any life situation, and that is you can either change it, you can accept it, or you can let it go. So there's really nothing else that you can do. And so when you get over what we called learned helplessness, and what I mean by that is basically the feeling of that it's not going to go anywhere from here. And that happens only because of belief systems and paradigms that are brought about by, unfortunately, people who are our early caregivers and our siblings, our teachers, because they also learned the same. So, they also came from a place where they might have felt broken or hurt or sad or depressed or whatever in some ways, and they did their best. So, there's no need to feel angry or upset about whatever might have happened, even if it was a mistake. What we have to understand is they did the best they could, and they still love you just the way you are.
True.
It's only that much love that they could give you. You
I
see, and
really.
as we grow and change, we expect love in a different way, which we talked about the five languages love. We also expect the quantity of love to be in a certain amount. So you might want a 5 gallon love, but you might only get a pint size.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, you think it's less, and because of something you did, and your self worth drops. But the fact is, the person on the other side can only give you a pint size. But you are a large 5 gallon person. So if you're not getting that, there's two things you can do. You can either seek that love or affirmation or physical touch or kindness from another friend, because not one person can give you everything. Then that way you can fill up your fuel tank to 5 gallon. Or by doing for others, that itself is such a phenomenal way to fill your tank, because the more you give, the more you get.
Very rightly said. As you said, the first thing that you said is change. What you can do is change. And also, it's very interesting to note when you said that you may be a 5 gallon love receiver. However, from the opposite side, when you receive about a pint of love, you think that you start doubting, oh, so am I not worth more? You start questioning, and that's very common thing. That's really very common. I'll tell you what happened just this morning. A very old, good old friend from good old times, friend just asked me that, Trisha, just tell me one thing about me that unique, that stands out. We have been friends for like over 20 years now, I would say, and more than that. And so I actually immediately started thinking about all the first thing is great communicator, this, that. She can connect with diverse group of people and genuinely connect. So all the positive things I could think, when I wrote back to her, she was like, so many words you're writing, so many things about me. So at that point of time I was thinking, but when, if I have to ask myself that, okay, Trisha, tell me one thing good about yourself. Yeah, maybe I'll take more time. And that is a case I have seen when, like during my first introduction, two cases, I would say, situations I would take as my yoga class, to as an introduction to yoga. I have asked this question to my prospective clients or students that, tell me one thing about, one good thing about yourself. And the answer was like, it took a long time, or sometimes I did not even get the answer. So why is it so hard? Why is it that difficult to, is it somewhere we are lacking in getting in knowing our own self? And why does that happen? I mean, it's very common. It's, we question ourselves, we doubt ourselves very easily. But without delay we can either form opinion in a negative way about others, or in a positive way, like what happened this morning, like instantly. It didn't even take much time. So why does that happen, Anu? Why is it that we
That's
tend.
a very good introspection. The most important thing is the self talk, you know. We are in our head constantly talking to ourselves. And what are we really saying? You know, we really have to stop and think and actually become so aware to that best friend inside your head. Is it the angel or the devil? Because some
Mm,
of the things we say to ourselves are not at all kind. In fact, they're harsher than what anybody could have been. And the other thing is that we come from an ego perspective. We all think that I am Anu Vittal, I am a life coach, I am this and I am that. And what if I'm not any of that? I'm not my name. I'm not a life coach, so I'm not my profession. I'm not an artist. I'm not my passion. I'm nothing. I am nobody. And I'm just this drop in the ocean. And I'm just this soul. And I'm just this pillar of light or energy, magnetic wave. If you start to think like that, then you start to become a universal base. There is nobody else better or lesser or greater or shorter or thinner. It doesn't matter, because in the end what matters is when you define yourself, it's very important to find this definition. So if you define yourself as a loving humanitarian on a journey to create a legacy of happiness for humanity, It doesn't attach anything to it. It doesn't attach my car, my house, my looks, my nothing. How can then I feel bad? Whether somebody says bad or says good, and those momentary lapses that happen even to me because I'm not perfect, that you do feel conscious because the conditioning,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately this conditioning is so strong, it's very hard to get separated from it, and that you can only do by a lot of self-awareness. And what I mean by that is literally taking a step back, or if you're in a meeting and everything is going crazy, just take a breath, or maybe two breaths or five breaths, and just stay, like just observe. And the same thing in your own private time, especially when you're alone, if you're driving or if you're on a beach or walking. These are times when you really have to take stock. At that time, you realize things are not so bad. In every bad situation, there has to be a good situation. If you're on a roller coaster screaming on top of your head and it's up, you have to come down. So it's just the way you, um, what's the right word? Use this opportunity of awareness to create a window from where you can walk out or jump out and really explore what else is there, because all you know is what you learned. What you don't know, you've never learned. How can you experience it if you don't give yourself a chance?
True. I do remember in our fourth episode where we discussed a relationship and self worth, where you said that it is, we have to be watchful, we have to be aware of how we are talking to ourselves. So it is a how. But even before that, are we even talking to ourselves? So that
Yeah,
needs to be, we need to make sure that we are doing that exercise. Anu, I have a concern that I received from one of our viewer, and I'd like to definitely get back to our viewer. The concern, that concern, I would say it's just that, first of all, I'm very thankful, we are thankful for our viewers are responding with a situation, and these help others to learn that, I can be in similar situations, so I might as well talk about it. So the situation here is that this person, we are not taking any names, so we want to create a safe and comfortable community where we are able to share our feelings and take a holistic approach. As Anu Vittal is here and I am here, the host, we take a holistic approach to answer some of these questions. So the question here is that this person had been in a long term relationship, and but the relationship towards the end had a kind of I can't say ended, but with a bitter, on a bitter note. So but this bitter taste is still being carried by this person, that this person is in a state currently where this person feels, started self doubting if, although let me also add to this that this person did mention that they were abused in the relationship. However, they always considered that to be a form of love, just to stay in the relationship, however didn't work out. But now the situation is such, and this person is, by the way, from the European continent, one of the country in the Norwegian region. So this person feels that, does not, is not sure whether to get, if that person is really has enough self-worth to give their life a second chance, feels scared, feels insecure, for self-doubt, with always questioning if they were at the wrong side, if it was their wrong that made that happen. So
And that's
I
natural, to be honest, because unfortunately, any kind of a closing of a relationship, it brings up so many feelings for both parties. And the party that is aggrieved more so tends to reflect, because usually they tend to be the empathetic um, part of that relationship. That's not to say that's always the case, but most of the time. And usually, those kind of people are what we call an HSP, a highly sensitive person. So, when you break up, the next step is you break down.
Mhm.
And the next step is you break through, and then you break free. So, you break up, you break down, you break through, and then you break free. So, in this process, there is a whole bunch of different feelings that you have to wade through: guilt, shame,
Hmm.
self pity, some amount of sorrow for the loss of the other person. And it's quite traumatic. In fact, they say that death and divorce pretty much are on the same scale of loss, because even though, you know, in death you lose the person forever, in divorce the person is still there, aware in their consciousness, in a different space and time, and you're in a different place.
Mhm.
And that tends to also be a constant reminder that you need to keep fighting, right? So
Mhm.
it is a difficult situation, but the thing is, there's always hope. One of the things I would recommend this person do is definitely journal and continuously watch the self talk. And it's okay to feel all your feelings. They're no right or wrong feelings, but write them down if you can. And writing a letter to the person who they broke up with and never sending it is also an important letter. In fact, I would say write everything you want to write. No right, no wrong, whatever you feel you want
Mhm.
to say to this person, just put it on paper and then go to a place where you can tear it up and throw it away so the wind can carry it into a different vibration or different form of energy, or burn it with love and let it go, because that feeling then gets converted into fire, and the fire becomes a different energy, and that energy then dissipates into the atmosphere, not affecting you so much. So that was something that would definitely help. And then setting some kind of smart goals. It doesn't have to be that you want to jump into relationship right away, but realistic goals, what they do is give you that opportunity to put your passion and your love for what you like, whether it's music or singing or theater, especially the arts, because that takes a lot out of your heart space.
Mhm.
And that is where you feel this, your heart, your stomach, your whole body actually feels this emotion. But when you start to do things from this space, it almost kind of helps to dissipate a lot of the sorrow and bring you a lot of joy. And little steps, baby steps, you don't have to cross the mountain right away. But that one step up the mountain, is important. 5 steps later, have a celebration. Go learn that piece of guitar or that piece of music, or play that guitar, or do whatever that makes you really happy. And then, on the fifth or sixth class that you've completed, hey, tell your friends, or get your friends together now that COVID is relatively less intimidating for people to get together socially, or on Zoom or on Instagram. Play your song and see what kind of response you get. You never know where your next love is going to be, and you never know, you might just make a fabulous friend. That's good enough, you know. So
Very true. I always ask this question, that do you want to move on? Do you really want to? So it's willingness, and when I see willingness of any person whenever they are in such a situation, so that means, as you said, first of all, yes, pain, sorrow, all these sad things that is going on, the dark, you think that it is the darker moment in my life, but then of course, as Anu you said, there's hope. There's hope. So and it is that, yes, they say, when they say that, yes, I want to move on, so that is the hope. uh, that's the hope you're showing, you're giving to your own self, that hey, you know what, there is help on the way, there is definitely. So after, there is something I can do about this to, if may not fix it completely, but healing will happen. So
Absolutely. In fact,
so
HOPE is an acronym. Keep your heart open. HO, heart open, for passion and empathy. You know, when your heart is open for some passion and empathy, then you allow things that you like, things that you're passionate about to flow inside that open heart. When you have empathy, it starts with you. You're kind to yourself, you're compassionate, your loving kindness from that heart open, like a lotus, flows out to the world as well. And then you start to attract things and people into your life and situations that give you another opportunity to showcase your uniqueness in this universe.
and I'm sure if our viewers are watching and listening to Anu, what you, all that you said, and you have been, I see that there is a common thing that you always mention, is that if we are willing to start with self talk, self talk is so important, and what, how we are doing it. So, and everything goes back to the awareness that, hey, what is it I'm doing to myself? And I love this because these are, we tend to ignore some of the simplest things of life that can actually fix a lot of much higher level of difficulties of our life. Just we maybe we do not ignore, but it's um, someone guiding you. In this case, Anu, I am so thankful because I can tell you how happy I am feeling by the methods that we can apply, we can use, and maybe we can see changes, if not immediately, but definitely things start changing. Because when you take that step of when you take that step of making your own self your friend, things start changing. The way we think about ourselves, the way we talk to ourselves, so it's more with respect, um, develops, right? So that's a beautiful thing. Anu, I'd like to there is another not similar situation, but again, it's about self-worth. I noticed that one of my so I can't say friend. I believe, although friends on social media, but much younger. So it's the teenage generation, I would say that, especially, I have received a concern that I want to discuss with you, if we have time. It's about body image, self image, and how social media. We discussed this, I believe. Last time also, but not in detail. But this is a situation, scenario, wherein this young person feels dejected, um, mm, by self. That's how they are feeling about themselves, that, oh, they have gained so much of weight that they do not, to a point that they don't want to face real people, like not virtual. They are okay with virtual meetings, virtual socializing, but not in reality, because they have gained a lot of weight. They don't know what to do. They are concerned about the uh, past puberty stage that they are in, that they feel rejected, dejected, and feels like, closing staying in an enclosed place forever. So that's the feeling, that's what they shared. um,
It's
so
interesting you say this because I have also had a few patients, especially after the COVID situation, come to me with this concern, and it is something that they haven't faced before because some of them are very healthy, they're doing yoga, they're exercising or dancing or walking, and it's happened to me as well. So I just couldn't understand because I was walking 100 kilometers a week and the weight wouldn't go. So I changed the diet and I changed my habits in terms of, and then I realized that it's a lot of stress. It's also a lot of the negative talk that puts you into a loop that doesn't allow you to get out. So the cortisol keeps building. The vagus nerve that we talked about last time, that goes right through the center part of your head from your brain, like a literally a pillar going through your body, it's right into your gut. It doesn't help with the digestion and the metabolizing of the fat and the cleanup, and all this just adds more and more and more. And one thing I realized when I went to my Ayurvedic doctor is she, in those 14 days, did some therapies that helped me from a physiological perspective. But she did a lot of work that made me realize the importance of self care. If I really loved myself, would I let myself eat that burger or have that milkshake? What happens is we keep trying, and then suddenly we keep failing or there's no success. So we fall into a loop. And in that loop, we can't get out because we say, oh gosh, to hell with it. I've given it everything and I'm done. I don't care. I'm just going to eat whatever, drink whatever, and maybe not even exercise, and then you just start to get fatter and fatter, and then you just suddenly realize, oh my gosh, I don't want to meet people now. I look horrible in my pictures, or I don't like the way I look. Whatever you're thinking, all of that has to change. It is really about parenting yourself once again. If you were your own daughter and you saw, or your own best friend, and you saw that person sliding, what would you do? You would definitely pick up the phone and say, listen, I know you're going through some stuff. Let me help you. I'll come for a walk with you every morning and do that. Or I have these recipes that help with a good nutritional value with less carbs. Or I'm on this one juicing thing that's going to work. So you don't give up, you don't stop. And there are times when your body physiologically needs the fat. It's fighting something. It's COVID is a extremely traumatic condition that humanity is surviving. It's not normal in any way of, we've normalized it because humans are so conditioned that wearing a mask has become a thing. In fact, taking it off was also a thing. Okay, oh my God, I said, okay, can I take it off? It's a phase that you go through. So abruptly doing something or not doing something is a shock to the body. And when people have been through shock, and the bodies are different, some bodies hold on, some bodies reduce, and some bodies do different things where they want more fuel for whatever reason and they eat more. It could be emotional eating. So they're not taking good care of their mental diet and their emotional diet. That also affects their physical diet. And even if they're not eating a lot, they tend to put on weight. Because remember, we are E is equal to MC squared. That is, energy is equal to matter. So what happens, especially to HSPs, the ones who are the most empathetic, who feel the most, is they attract a lot of energy from those who are dissipating negative energy. It comes and sticks to your body. Energy becomes fat. Energy becomes mass. When it leaves your body, which is why it's called kilocalories. It's called enerjoules because it's got energy that's dissipating. So exercise is one of the best things you can do because again, DOSE, dose, getting your dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins makes you feel good. So you got to find that one hook that keeps you going. And I would say to that person, start with exercise, whatever it is. Don't give up on yourself. Think of your best friend that you made a commitment that your buddy system is with you, or if you can get a real buddy, that's even better. And then tell your buddy, it's not about the weight loss. It's about me doing this for 30 days, nonstop. Don't worry about the end solution. It will come about, I guarantee. If it takes 6 months, a year, 2 years, don't worry about it, but don't stop. Then comes the eating and the nutrition. Think about nutrition, 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 and see how you can make it work. whether it's keto or intermittent fasting. And then, last but not least, how are you talking to yourself at night? I'm a hypnotherapist, and one of the things that you do in hypnotherapy is you can condition your mind very quickly. There are several tapes out there, or go to a hypnotherapist and get that conditioning in your brain that alleviates the fears and this negative self talk and the self worth about you being a little bit more of who you are. That's all it is. Have you changed because you put on weight? No. Like, the core never changes. That beautiful person is always that beautiful person. So now you're a little bit bigger. That's okay. It's just a phase of life. It's just a reminder that you can do better and you are beautiful for who you are, just the way you are.
Anu, that is I would say that, that actually makes me go back to the first concern that I raised, that I shared with you about from this person, that um, one really, as you said, HSP, a highly sensitive person. Um, so it is how, I mean, is it that we forget, for that person? I am on behalf of that person, that when this person felt that it is maybe they did something wrong, that all this happened. Is it because they feel that, wow, I can give so much, I can only give, and they are not taking a look at whether they are receiving or what they are giving back to themselves. So is it something like that is lacking, or is it that there's no time to and there's no time to look at um, to our own self? It's just that, you know i I mean, when do you get this feeling started that, I'm not worth it, I'm like receiving more than I can ask for? When does this feeling start, and does it happen automatically in a relationship? Yes, highly sensitive person, as you call it, HSP, but
So
how
there
do
are
we
several
get off?
personalities. Yeah, so there's several personalities in the world. There's narcissistics, there's Machiavellian,
I mean,
there's
at what point
HSP.
do we get lost?
We get lost in, it doesn't matter what the personality is. Where we get lost is the mindset. So there are two mindsets essentially. There's a fixed mindset and there's a growth mindset. We are so blessed to be in a generation where we have so much knowledge available to us. Never before in humanity has knowledge been so accessible by the click of a button as it is today. There is a fixed mentality based on our belief systems. That is the way we grew up, the culture, the people around us. And people tend to stick to that because it's safe. They feel comfortable, they don't want to go further. If that is the case, there would be no Steve Jobs. There would not be most of the scientists in the world. There wouldn't be most of the inventors because they don't believe in the fixed mindset. They believe in a growth mindset. What is a growth mindset? Is that person who jumped out of that window, out of that four walls of a fixed mindset, and he said or she said, there's something more out there. And when you have a growth mindset, you never stop giving up. You never stop believing that this is it. You can have an apple in front of you, but you'll try to figure out what is that apple, what's it going to do, or like Einstein, you'll throw it up in the air, and the next thing you know, you have a new theory in science that's going to change the entire way the world thinks. At some point, right, they thought that the world was flat, then they thought it was round, then they realized it's elliptical. So there was somebody who did not believe what the previous person said until they found out for themselves what it eventually is. And today we have so many things out there that can help us, whether it's the internet, it's knowledge from mentors who have achieved greater heights, who can actually share that information and that experience with you. It's other people's experience around us that we can look around and learn from. So, having a growth mindset is what I call the upgrading of your version from wherever you are now and saying, maybe there's something else I haven't explored. For example, the person who's weight loss, maybe I think I know it all, but maybe I never knew about the vagus nerve. I did not know that my gut health was so important in my weight loss. And now I've learned something new. So, knowledge and growth are the mindsets that you need to adopt to be able to evolve into, you know, I guess the next version of who you are, but also what a beautiful journey. It keeps unfolding. It's not over. It never is. Either you're a survivor, or you're a fulfilled person, or you're a super achiever. There are only three categories that people fall into, and there's nothing right or wrong. So you can be in any one of them. And we need a mix of all kinds to be together. Not everybody can be a super achiever. But the fact is, if somebody had told us 20 years ago, maybe not even 20, I think the iPhone is what, 10 years now? So 12, 15 years ago, that you can watch a movie in the palm of your hand. That's what Steve Jobs said. And he was laughed at because all the people in the room who had a fixed mind said, what? You've got to be kidding me. But that's exactly what we do. We are watching our palms. There's a phone there, and that's what we're doing. Our life is in that, right? So adopt a growth mindset and then move forward.
Adopt a growth mindset. Anu, that was very interesting. I feel like that um, sharing all the other questions and concerns that I've received so many, and but yes, we will continue. Adopt a growth mindset, so that does make does reassure, gives me a reassurance that we are, we can change things within us, even our, for that matter, even our mindset. So self-worth, definitely, it is a sense of feeling, where how we look at ourselves, and we what value, how are we valuing our own self, right? So that means it's possible. Right, it's possible, it's there.
Everything is possible until it's done by somebody else. It's like that beautiful Asian model who became the cover of Sports Illustrated. And she said, I couldn't believe when they picked me. And I was blown away because they picked someone of a larger size. And that is not a typical fixed mindset, but that's a growth mindset. And kudos to people setting those examples. We need more of those kind of examples where humanity is equalized and not differentiated, because same and different is really what it's all about.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. My one of my favorite quote is by Janis Joplin, and it is that, this is all I've got. I am all I've got. So no compromises there. I just love that quote. I did not present it the way it's been quoted, but I just love it. So if, even if there are moments when we go through phases when we think that, hey, I don't deserve that, maybe, or maybe it is me because of that the situation took place, or whatever, maybe I was wrong. But then again, as Anu said, we all have it in us. What is needed is just a little pause in our fast paced life, and taking a look at our own self, and looking for that thing, as we said, that it's there within us, and just give a little nudge. Talk to yourself, but also be watchful of how you are talking to yourself. Actually, Anu, as you mentioned last time, I've been making sure as to what I am, the kind of words I'm using with me when I'm doing my self talk. and it actually is making a great difference. And I'll just give a simple example what happened today. I was not feeling that great because there were so many events going on, and then I reached out to Anu. Reached out to Anu, I'm having a terrible headache and I'm not where I should be, and the podcast we need to be on. And when Anu, we all know what is to be done, what is not to be done. When you said that, Trisha, just for a moment, just open your mind but close your eyes and just let go of yourself. Do not tighten any part of the body or your mind, physically or mentally. Just be there in the nothingness, in being there in the effortlessness state. Just do nothing but keep your eyes closed, and here you will receive the positive vibe that I send for you, and you will be fine. And honestly, Anu, I may not have told you this. Here I am, right on time. We started our podcast, and I am still, I'm feeling so much of energy that I can continue for hours. And I'm so thankful to you. I'm so thankful to have you not just on this podcast but also with me since the time I've met you. We are on to our fifth episode. This is going great. So much, sending so much love to our viewers and also to our listeners who are listening to our podcast on Amazon Music and Apple Podcast and Spotify, and also watching our YouTube series, Let's Talk Mental Health. So before we end, Anu, I'd like to hear your last few words that I always like to add to my takeaway list.
Thank you, Trisha. Thank you for sharing your experience. And we are all beacons of energy, beautiful, shining lights, souls with a divine purpose and a gift. And we have so much to give on this unique journey. So don't let these challenges deter you. In fact, use them as opportunities to make yourself into a better version and keep shining. Stay happy. Reach out when you feel low or sad, or write to us. And we're all here to help each other. Find that gift, find that unique thing that makes your heart open, and share it with everybody else around you.
Lovely. Well, that was Anu Vittal, a life coach, an author, and there are so many things. But what I love the most about Anu is that Anu is one of the biggest promoter of happiness for humanity. And through your words, your action, your thoughts, that is all I get. Happiness for humanity. Thank you to our viewers, our listeners, for making us continue go with our episodes. And thank you for your questions, thank you for your concerns that you share. Most importantly, our objective had been to build a community where we are able to talk about our feelings, and we feel a comfortable space where we are able to support each other. We talk about our mental health, our feelings, just how we would talk about our physical health. With that, we come to the end of our episode 5 of Let's Talk Mental Health, and we begin a new chapter on episode 6. Let's Talk Mental Health. Trisha here and Anu, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Trisha.